Good evening and welcome to our graduation ceremony for the graduates of 2023 at the Tucson Waldorf School. Before I begin, I just want to remind all parents that if you have a child here, that they should be near you or your eyes should be on them at all times during the ceremony. And if you're sitting together as a class, I hope that you can sit with quiet respect and reverence for these 8th graders and their families up here. If there are any young children who are just getting antsy and need a little child care, we have free child care up in the north part of our campus at the early childhood play yards. So please escort your child there if they're just feeling like they need to run around a little bit. But hopefully not. I want to thank all of the parents and the friends of this graduating class for being here tonight, for supporting these students through a very different kind of learning, a very different kind of program. And it takes a lot of faith. It takes a lot of trust to give your child a Waldorf education because it doesn't look like other types of education, right? We teach them to think. We teach them to feel. We teach them to work through hard things, hard knots in the wood, hard places in the stone, so that whatever they tackle, even if high school looks very, very different, whatever they tackle, whatever they do, they have the inner strength, the inner composure, the inner ability to face whatever it is that's coming at them. They have built resilience because they've worked through really tough things that other students may not have to work through. So I want to say thank you. Thank you for your faith. Thank you for your willingness. Thank you for being here with your thinking, your feeling, and your willing to make this moment tonight happen for these students. I also want to thank the 7th graders and their parents for all the work that they did today, helping to set up, to host, to bring this all together. All of your hard work. It's the kind of volunteerism that makes us the community that we are. And we couldn't be a community like this if we didn't have all of the hardworking parents who are willing to step in and hang the lights and put out the tables and, get dirty and get messy to be here. So thank you for that. Before I pass it over to Rebecca, I have a little something for the 8th graders. This is a passage by a man named Edward Abbey. I don't know if any of parents know him. He was an environmental activist from the 60s who spent a lot of time in the desert. This is called Benedicto. May your trails be crooked, winding, lonesome, dangerous, leading to the most amazing view. May your rivers flow without end, meandering through pastoral valleys, tinkling with bells, past temples and castles and poets' towers, into dark primeval forests where tigers belch and monkeys howl, through miasmal and mysterious swamps and down into a desert of red rock, blue mesas, domes and pinnacles, and grottos of endless stone, and down again into a deep, vast, ancient, unknown chasm where bars of sunlight blaze on profiled cliffs, where deer walk across the white sand beaches, where storms come and go as lightning clangs upon the high crags, where something strange and more beautiful and more full of wonder than your deepest dreams awaits you, beyond that next turning of the canyon walls. Congratulations, 8th grade.
Thank you, Jen.
The Head, Heart, and Hands Award recognizes a parent or parents in the graduating class who've contributed exceptional service to the school as a whole over a period of years. The recipients of this award are singled out with the acknowledgement that every parent's contribution is needed and valued, that each of us benefit from school service from those who came before us, and that we all contribute to the future of our school. I'm pleased this year to award the Head, Heart, and Hands to Linda Biederman, April Wiley, and Jennifer Krzyzanowski. Could you please come up? And this award states, on behalf of all of us, with deep gratitude for your countless contributions to the Tucson Waldorf School community and appreciation for your many years of exemplary service. And I just wanted to say that the list of how each of you has contributed to the school is far too long to go into it at all. I have a couple of things I'd like to mention. They barely scratch the surface, and if you have time, please ask any of these lovely people to give you a description of what they've done, and set aside a long time for that because there's a big list. But Linda, thank you so much for all you've done holding and developing the Parent Council. It's so appreciated, and it's an amazing legacy for the school. Here is your award. Thank you. And April, I'm sure I'm missing many things, but I know you've done so much for the Caring Committee, Parent Council, for the school store, just always being ready and available to help, and such a positive spirit and force in the school, and it's so greatly appreciated. And last but not least, Jen, thank you so much for your board service, for your work on the Campus Planning Committee, and especially for your care and commitment to land stewardship, and for helping to steward this beautiful property into the future. And next will be Mr. Doyle, but before that, Maestra Moreno is going to say a welcome in Spanish for all of us.
Me han pedido, they asked me just to say a few words in Spanish, because it's what we have here too. So voy a hablar en español. Muchas gracias a todos, muchas gracias a vosotros y a todos por estar aquí. Y nada, es un día para celebrarlos a ellos y para celebrarnos a todos nosotros. Muchas gracias.
I'm going to start off with some reminiscences from the students of their time through the school. But I wanted to start off with my first reminiscence of meeting these excellent people. I came in for a teaching demonstration, applying for a job in Tucson, Arizona. And I worked on a poem with the students that first day I met them. And it was by William Stafford, the Poet Laureate of Oregon. And I'd like to just share it with you now. It's called When I Met My Muse. I glanced at her and took my glasses off. They were still singing. They buzzed like a locust on the coffee table and then ceased. Her voice belled forth, and I felt the sunlight bend in the ceiling arch, and knew that nails up there took a new grip on whatever they touched. I am your own way of looking at things, she said. When you allow me to live with you, every glance at the world around you will be a sort of salvation. And I took her hand. And that was the start of an incredible journey with these incredible people. They'd like to share with you some of their memories going up through the grades. And first we have some reminiscences of kindergarten.
Okay, so for our kindergarten, we had 1 year at the old campus and 1 year at this campus. A big highlight for a lot of us was the food. Specifically, the soup and bread was really good. Everyone hated the millet and sweet potatoes, though. That was really bad. Some classes made pizza, and another food that we all liked was the birthday cake with the frozen berries.
There was somewhat of a schedule. We played, napped, snacked, and that was really it. But during nap time, I remember we would have these lambskins, and we would try and fall asleep at least. And if we didn't, we would, the teachers would make a little tent, and we would have to sleep in there. There would be puppet shows often. Classes would invite us to their classroom, and they would have little finger puppets, and we'd watch. They would give us almonds, and yeah. Another big thing was birthdays. There was this rainbow bridge, and the teachers would tell a story about how we were born through the rainbow bridge. Yeah. That's it.
First grade?
Hello. Sorry, I have a really bad cold. So in first grade, we were very much wanting to be grown-ups. And so we would always play make-believe at recess. But we would spend so much time just like talking about what we were wearing and like what our boyfriends were wearing and like what our babies looked like or whatever. And we just never actually played the game because that took the whole recess. And we also would find like rocks and like draw faces on them, and they were like our rock babies. And we would play this game at recess called Beef that we played for a couple years after, where we would like all the guys would chase the girls, and then if they like caught us, they would like put us in the hobbit hole, which was like the prison, I guess. And also we would sometimes do clay, and we would always make clay phones. We never made anything but clay phones because we wanted phones so bad. So that was also another thing we did in first grade.
In first grade, we also learned the alphabet, and our old teacher, Mr. Keeney, would tell us stories about the letters, and then we would draw pictures. And we also learned about math, and there was a story behind that where this girl fell in a hole and then met math gnomes. Also, all the girls in first grade had massive crushes on 8th graders, and they would always dare me to call out their name. So one time I did, and then I went to go hide in the hidey hole, so yeah.
In second grade, we learned about the saints and all of their stories. We also learned about Aesop's fables, and that was a lot of fun because every day there would be a different fable. At snack time, Mr. Keeney read us the entire series of Narnia, and everyone looked forward to snack, but we also looked forward to hearing Mr. Keeney read. Our play that year was Brendan and the Dreamer, and our class was really like competitive for the roles, and that led to a lot of arguments.
I got the lead role, and a former classmate was really mad, and so he threw a chair at me and a couple of other kids. So we still love to play make-believe, and all of the girls also had a ginormous crush on one of our classmates, Foster. And So, of course, during these games, we all wanted him as our boyfriend, but there was only one. So we made him into triplets. And then we went on the towers over there and carved faces in them and kissed them and pretended they were our boyfriends. And then Miss Sophie found out and got really mad and made Arya and Josie scrub off the faces, but then Arya tripped and face planted.
In 3rd grade, we learned about the Torah and all the stories in it.
After we learned that, we did a play called Happy Family, which was loosely based on the Joseph and his coat of many colors or something like that. And it was really fun. Our old teacher, Mr. Keeney, wrote the script, and we enjoyed doing it a lot.
One of the main projects that you do in 3rd grade is the shelter projects. These were a lot of fun. In these projects, we would make houses of some type. Someone made a igloo out of sugar cubes. I made a stilt house. And we would all bring them in and say facts about them.
During the shelter project, we also built a big teepee in the back 9 to just like know what it's like, I guess. And the guy who was helping us told us we were like better than all the other classes that had done it, and like we were faster, and we thought we were really cool.
Once we had done that, we went to the Canelo project, and this was one of the class's favorite field trips. At this place, they taught us how to make adobe bricks, houses out of adobe bricks, and it was a lot of fun working with mud and clay and straw.
In 3rd grade, we also learned about measurement and weight and stuff, and we made this thing called the Heba stick, which was like measurements from people in our class, like together, I guess, and it was all fake measurements and stuff. And we also made a massive mobile hanging from the beams of our classroom, and it was really fun, and we would like lay it under it and stuff. Thanks.
Fourth grade was the year we had our animal projects. This was a project where we got an animal. We learned about the animal, and then we made a diorama of an animal. We went to the clay co-op to create these animals, and yeah. This was also the first year we had orchestra, and our teacher was Mr. Moore. He was very cool. He also loved cheese a lot, and I remember one very funny thing. I used to be small enough to fit in the cello case. In one class I hid from him. But yeah. We used to read a lot in 4th and 3rd grade, so we had certain spots in the classroom. There's one by a window with a cushion, and in the fire pit, and more, yeah.
This was the year we learned about the Norse myths, and we all loved learning about all of the different gods. We especially loved Loki until we learned that he caused the end of everything, and we all kind of had a grudge against him after that. We went on another trip to Ravensway, which was a little like camp trip in the desert. A lot of people really didn't like it and still talk about how much they don't like it to this day. But I thought it was very fun, and we got to learn survival skills. We learned how to make arrowheads and threw rocks at stuff. It was pretty fun.
In 4th grade, our play was about Loki and the crimes he committed. It was just a court case. with all of the gods judging him. This was also the year we first met Mr. Doyle, as he said. He told us a story about possums, and we drew pictures of possums, and it was really cool, and I liked him a lot.
In 5th grade, we learned about ancient Mesopotamia and about the ziggurats there. We made one, a little one, and turned our classroom into a little brick making factory. And after we had hundreds of bricks, we pasted them together and made a little temple thing, the ziggurat. We painted it all these different colors, and then it fell over actually one day, and I think I still have a little piece of it in my room.
In 5th grade was the first year Mr. Doyle was our teacher, and yeah, we also, in 5th grade, we learned botany, and we all had these little plants that we would go and like sit next to our main lesson and like draw pictures of them and stuff. And I remember one day I went out there and mine was pulled out of the ground because it was a weed, and I was very upset about it. Yeah.
In 5th grade, we learned about the Greek gods, and again, we loved hearing about all the stories of all the different gods. We trained for the pentathlon that year and did the discus and the javelin and all of that stuff. We got very excited. We got into our groups, and then COVID hit, so that was cut. We were all pretty sad about that. Is it?
Okay, so in 6th grade, it was still COVID, and so we were doing like half days where we come in for the first part of the day, and we would do school in between the 7th grade rooms and the 6th grade room outside, and we would wear masks. And then at like noon we would go home, but some people would stay and do essential care where by like the lunch tables. And I remember I stayed and did essential care with Aria, and one time we thought it would be funny if we changed our Zoom name, so we logged into orchestra as this person named Gwyneth Kopek, and Miss Rose got really scared and thought we were trying to like hack the meeting, so she told people to like turn their cameras off, and we we were just like, oh no, so we left, but then we kept trying to like get back in the meeting, but we couldn't change our name, so we kept logging back in as Gwyneth Kopek, and like eventually we just gave up and didn't go to orchestra. And then later we logged into like the closing meeting as Gwyneth Kopek, and Mr. Dole was like, why is your name Gwyneth Kopek? And we're like, no reason. And also a lot of people would say they had bad internet to not go to school, but that was definitely a lie because we all had perfectly fine internet. And like their internet would be bad, they like couldn't turn their camera on, or like they couldn't be in class, but that was definitely not true, so yeah.
When me and my mom moved from Alaska to here in like 2020, we were really like, it's gonna be warm, there's not gonna be any snow, and then like 2 months, and it's after we were here and it snowed. And so everyone in the Zoom meeting was like, oh my god, it's snowing, Mr. Doyle, can we go out and can we like leave for main lesson and blah 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 and play in the like half an inch of snow. And Mr. Doyle was like, of course you can. And I didn't want to like be alone because I didn't really like know Mr. Doyle that well. So I was just like, oh, it's snow. Can I go see the snow? I haven't seen snow in a whole 2 months. So he was like, yeah, you can see the snow. I don't remember a lot. I don't remember a lot from the COVID times, but I do remember tectonic plates, and I'm never gonna forget it because Mr. Doyle used Oreos in his little experiment thingy, and everyone was kind of really like slow, and everyone was like, oh yeah, like tectonic plates. And then he goes, I'm gonna get the Oreos, and everyone was just like Oreos. It's like a magic word or something, and everyone started listening. 6th grade is also the medieval games, and I was really stressed out about the medieval games because I didn't really know anyone. I didn't know the teachers, but I got there and everyone was like talking to each other, and I feel like it was the first time that I felt like we could actually go back to normal after COVID, even though it was still kind of weird. And it's the first time that I saw the class really being a class together, and because there's not really that room for much talking over Zoom, and it was just really nice to like be in the same area together and like talk to each other like normal people again. So that was really nice.
Seventh grade was really, really fun, and we learned a lot of fun things, including physics.
We did a lot of really fun experiments during physics. We did the roaring carboy experience, and that was just sort of an explosion that we were all super excited about, and that was really fun. We also went out into the back 9 and sort of made seesaws and found a balance and stuff, and we also got to use axes to chop wood and stuff, which was really fun. Near the beginning of 7th grade, Mr. Pudd came, who was 100% not Mr. Doyle, and we all got to say the Pledge of Allegiance for the first time ever as Waldorf kids, so that was super fun.
And then a little while after that, we started noticing that there was this large box in Mr. Doyle's desk in the corner of the room. And then, like, the next day, or like at lunch, he told us, oh yeah, when you're walking out to the stalls, don't worry about the like mouse traps between the 6th and 7th grade, you know, that's fine. There's just like, they're having a little rat problem. And then like a week later, we were in class and we noticed that the box started moving just slightly, just a little bit. And then it started making squeaking noises, and we were like, And eventually, we were all really scared and sitting on our desks and really stressed out. And then it started getting too loud to be an actual mouse, and we found out that it was just Mr. Aaron in the box playing squeaking noises off his phone. So that was really funny.
We also went on a lot of really fun field trips. We went on high ropes for the first time as 7th graders, and it was really fun, but I think we were all super nervous to be up in the air and relying on each other to hold us, so it was still really fun. Another field trip we went on in 7th grade was Pepper Sauce Cave, and some of us, like me, Helene, and Genevieve, didn't want to go through the rabbit hole, which is this tiny little part of the cave, which sounded really scary. So we sat in this big, open, dark part of the cave and held hands, and we all sang Riptide together in the complete pitch black. And then when people came back from the rabbit hole, they started joining us, and it was super fun.
Our 7th grade play was legendary. It was The Hobbit, and we had it combined with the last 8th grade. And I feel like it was a really good opportunity for our class to kind of bond with their class, because we had all kind of been in COVID, and so we were all like by ourselves, and so we were all really excited to like meet new people and like become friends.
During The Hobbit, I was a troll, which was really embarrassing because I had to wear this big wig and this crazy outfit, but it was still super fun, and I was a troll with Joaquin and Henry, so we all sort of bonded as trolls, I would say. In the play, I was Smaug the dragon, and I remember we only practiced my scene once, like the day before the performance, so I was very, very nervous about that.
Maybe the best part of 7th grade was when we learned the Gnome song and presented it for an assembly. And it was kind of embarrassing because it was a song for children to learn their times tables. But it was really fun, and I think we really enjoyed it, and it worked out perfectly because there was exactly 12 of us, and so it was really fun. At the beginning of this year, we decided to do the play towards the beginning instead of at the end when classes usually do it. Our class play was The Servant of Two Masters, which was really fun. And during the class performance that we did for the school, me and Lucy went up there and I completely forgot my line, and so we just stood there for a couple minutes just laughing uncontrollably because we didn't know what to say, and it was just like kind of a loop of lines, and we just waited there until the next scene came to us.
It was really fun, and we were all really excited to finally perform it, and then our first performance got canceled by lightning, which is so random. And I think there was lightning other times. It didn't get canceled, but there was just a lot of lightning for no reason. And since we decided to do our play in the beginning of the year, it was really hot. And so it's 12 8th graders in 3-layered costume pieces trying to remember our lines. And I had these uncomfortable shoes that I want to bury. But it was really fun, and I really enjoyed when everything came together and finally was we did the play.
During the play, me and Genevieve's characters hated each other a lot because we were fighting over a girl. So we got to choreograph our own sword fighting scene, and we spent a few months on it, and we both thought we did horrible. We were so disappointed in ourselves, but everyone told us we did super good, so I don't know. I also, during the play, got to write my own rap and perform that for everyone, which was really embarrassing, but it was fun.
We also did high ropes again for a second time this year, and this time it was a lot less nerve-wracking and super fun, and there was this big tall pole that you would climb up and then jump off to hit this ball, and it was really, really scary because it was super high, but it was also really fun and awesome.
We also had our 8th grade projects this year, which were really fun, and I think, I don't know if everyone enjoyed all the freedom that you and liberties you could take, but I really enjoyed just being able to do kind of anything I wanted.
My project was on special effects, which was super fun, and I really enjoyed that, but I do procrastinate quite a bit, so it was kind of hard for me.
It was really, really nice to see everyone work on their projects all year and then see it pay off when everyone did their performances and we got to see what everyone had been working on over their time. My project was on ballroom dancing, and so I did a performance and I had worked on for a few months. I thought I did super, super terribly, and ended up walking away and crying afterwards because I was so upset. But I thought it was super fun anyways, so that was super.
We quite recently just came back from our 8th grade trip to Catalina Island.
On the trip, we had a lot of fun, but I ended up getting super sick, and it slowly spreaded throughout our class. So we definitely had some trials, but it was still really fun. Snorkel and kayak and stuff, which was awesome. So we went on the trip.
Though I didn't get to do a lot of the stuff due to the sickness that I still am going through right now, my favorite part was the kayaking, even though Genevieve lectured me the whole entire time and was pretty mad at me throughout the whole process of kayaking, but I still thought it was really fun.
And we saw 4 bison, and they like walked through our camping area while we were sleeping. And I don't know how I didn't wake up and just die right then and there.
Alistair, Ezra, Corrigan, Foster, Mason, Griffin, Sauger, Elliot, Eli, Dylan, Patrick, Jacob, Tilly, Liliana, Jesse, Paisley, Jade, Sarla, and Peyton.
Someone who I'd also like to give a thanks to is Mr. Keeney, because he was with us from 1st to 4th grade. He was a wonderful teacher. He was very creative, and he told us lots of stories, and we read lots of books, and we did the gnome stories during math, so that made math more fun. He always pushed us to do our best. I think it's hard to see that when you're a kid, when adults push you, but we can probably see now that he was pushing us to do our best because he knew that we could always do better, and he knew our full potential. So thank you, Mr. Keeney.
Thank you. Great memories. I got a haircut. I was having my hair cut, and Bing was my hairdresser. And we got chatting about, oh, what do you do? Oh, I'm teaching 8th grade right now. And he said, oh, I had such a hard time in 8th grade. I was so unhappy. And through the mirror, I could see this man. I could see him as a teenage boy. He was there at 13. He was standing there holding the scissors behind me. Just for a moment, I could see it in him. And I kind of wish he had been in this class, because this is such a great group of kids who support each other so well. When we were riding back on the ferry from Catalina, one of the head lady who was in charge, I don't know the nautical terms, she was in charge of everybody, but she wasn't the captain. She comes up to me and says, "Are you the teacher of the kids upstairs?" And I was like, "Oh, geez, what are they doing?" And she said, "This is the best group of kids. They are so respectful to adults. They are kind to each other. They are busily engaged in doing these crafts, and just the way they treat each other and strangers is really admirable." And it just really touched my heart, because I knew that was true, that you guys are just terrific. We had a great trip, and we had some sickness. It reminded me of the pandemic that has shaped us so much. But this class is not only shaped by the experiences that we missed. We didn't get to go to the pentathlon, those sorts of things, and the isolation of being in Zoom. We're also really shaped by overcoming this and coming back together. You heard it in their memories a little bit. And not only coming together, they've been marked by the experience, they've been marked by the resilience. We all have been shaped by the pandemic, and I think as a community we felt that a lot. Sometimes our ability to disagree with one another, we faltered in our ability to be at odds with one another and still be in community. And it's hard coming back from that still. I feel that to this day sometimes. But I want to tell you that there's a lot of hope for the future, because we look at the newspaper every day. And sometimes we'd have discussions, and we started out not discussing things we disagreed with. You could sense in the class there was only if we all agree about something are we going to go forward with expressing our viewpoints. But we've had some beautiful conversations with deep felt disagreement and respect. And that when they disagree with one another, they'll make sure to say that person's name, to say, like, to identify the person and to see them as another human being and to allow them their point of view and to disagree and to still be in relationship. We can do a lot to build ourselves back again by following, and I think in the future we have a wonderful example to go forward. We can learn a lot from them. They're showing us how it can be done. Just this last week on the trip, I had the reverse experience of my haircut, where I was seeing these kids, and I was seeing the adult in the kids. I saw a woman walking down the street. I said, that woman looks like Claudia will look like when she's an adult. Good gracious, it was Claudia. It wasn't an adult at all. I saw the same thing with Rosalie and with Joaquin at another point, and I was seeing these adults everywhere, and they just grew. It was just before my eyes. The future's in really good shape because we can learn a lot from them. I have learned from them in alphabetical order: strength, curiosity, boldness, respect, dedication, grace, determination, patience, faith and trust, perseverance, kindness, and excellence. I'd like to close with another poem by the same poet that I came here to do my teaching demo. This fly is not embedded. By William Stafford. The title of the poem, it's a long title, so I'm just going to do the title first and we'll get into the poem later. After arguing against the contention that art must come from discontent, and perhaps because I came from art school, we had discussions about this, about the idea that something beautiful, something creative must come out of some bad feeling you have, some horrible experience. You're going to transform it into art. And I don't believe that. And I've had many discussions about this, and this poem is entitled, After Arguing Against the Contention That Art Must Come from Discontent. Whispering to each handhold, I'll be back. I go up the cliff in the dark. One place, I loose a rock and listen a long time, till it hits faint in the gulf, but the rush of the torrent almost drowns it out, and the wind, I almost forgot the wind. It tears at your side, or it waits and then buffets. You sag outward. I remember they said it would be hard. I scramble, by luck, into a little pocket out of the wind and begin to beat on the stones with my scratched, numb hands rocking back and forth in silent laughter there in the dark. Made it again. Oh, how I love this climb. The whispering to the stones, the drag, the weight as your muscles crack and ease on, working. Right. They are back there, discontent, waiting to be driven forth. I pound on the earth, riding the earth, past the stars, made it again, made it again. Thank you so much for being my class. For a parent reflection, the wonderful Mr. Josh.
And I also got a haircut. I don't know if anyone else noticed that. Good evening and hello, Waldorf family. As I started thinking about what I would talk about here today at the graduation ceremony, Joaquin and the rest of you were packing and preparing for your recent trip to Catalina, Iowa. And I was very excited for all of you to have the opportunity to take this trip. I decided that I was not going to worry about you guys going out and taking this trip on your own. I don't know about any other parents, but I had to work very hard not worrying about that. And I wondered why that was. And I think it may be because part of me, when I look out at this group of soon-to-be high schoolers, I still see the small, roly-poly little kids who started this journey together many, many years ago. A small number of you met each other in Quail's Nest. We watched while you were just playing around each other initially, but later you ended up playing together like as friends. You wore your soft sole inside shoes, which was a new thing to me. I didn't know that was a thing. You continued to make new friends in the preschool at the Presidio campus. We had that small playground area and a little rundown chicken coop that we could just barely keep the neighborhood cats out. And that was not always a sure thing. Those cats sometimes got in there. In the morning during drop-off, I remember watching you all hold onto the rope as your teachers would lead you from the playground to the classrooms while singing a song about a train, I think it was. We parents got to hear all about the snacks at school. That was definitely a highlight, just from the stories that we heard. Snack time was so important that we started telling the day of the week based on the snack that was scheduled for that day. There was oats day, rice day, vegetable soup day with veggies that you guys cut using real knives, and of course bread day, that delicious Waldorf bread, and let's not forget millet. Millet was pretty awful based on what I was told. I've never had millet, but it sounds terrible. In any event, you all had your favorites and we got to listen to debates about those. I really liked the Presidio campus. It was small, but it was home. And it seemed like this perfectly contained little haven in the middle of the neighborhood. Eventually, though, it was time for everyone to move over from the Presidio campus to the Riverbend campus, or like the big campus here. I don't know how many of you remember what this campus used to look like, but the northern part of this school was basically some of the saddest, most scraggly, twisted mesquite trees, pack rat nests, rocks, boulders, and dozens of rattlesnakes just everywhere you looked. Mr. Aaron was able to, he's here somewhere, Mr. Aaron was able to look at this, Mr. Aaron was able to look at this wild area of desert and envision the beautiful campus that it would eventually become. The school may have had plans, but Aaron made it happen. As a side note, Aaron and Jim both helped keep this place running, and we cannot thank them enough. They've also taught the importance of being handy and staying busy, and they do it with the best attitude, and it is much appreciated. We had work parties, a lot of work parties, where we parents would fill out rollout after rollout, clearing out that area. We moved tree stumps and boulders, we dug some trenches, we moved dirt. I still remember rolling those 2 cement tunnels into their spot where, they started out as tunnels. They are now hobbit holes, and they're beautiful hobbit holes. And eventually the campus began to take shape. The wonderful thing about the campus work parties was that they helped to make this place truly feel like a home for the parents and for me in particular. It was a place that we had ownership in, and we were responsible for, and that meant something. You would go on to learn about gardening. You would work in the soil, and you planted and grew food. You learned what plants were toxic and which ones were safe. I can still remember I went on a hike with a group of adults, and I took pictures of these really cool plants that I thought would be neat. Oh, the kids are going to love these. And I took these pictures, and I got home and I showed my kids, and they said, "Dad, that's sacred datura and is very toxic." And I said, "Obviously, it's toxic. I knew that. I'm just glad I didn't pick any. I would have had no idea." You attended your rose ceremony, and you all made your way into your new classroom. Your teacher, Mr. John Keeney, was waiting for you, playing his guitar and singing Yellow Submarine. And I remember thinking, what a cool way to start your first day of first grade. You started on your math with your jump rope table. You went on regular class hikes, starting very early on in first grade. Now, I was very, very fortunate that I was able to go along on a majority of those hikes. If memory serves, the first hike was to a trail along a creek in Madera Canyon. I remember you guys were so little, and it was cold in some of the shady spots. It shouldn't have been because it was earlier in the year, but it was cold. And I can remember some of you literally just standing there shivering, like 2 cold to even work on your gnome houses. Helene, I remember thinking you were going to freeze. We had to get some of you moved into the sun and warmed up, and sure enough, you all finished your gnome houses, and you made your way back to the cars. Now, some parents were worried whether the hikes were going to be too long for a bunch of first graders, but your teacher had a plan. And he never told anybody how long the pending hike was going to be before that hike started. And he always started the hikes out in the same way. He would say, you know what we're going to do? We're going to go hike out for a while, and at some point we'll stop, we're going to have a snack, we'll explore, and of course, obviously we'll make some gnome houses, and then we will hike back. And it wasn't until the end of the hike, when the tired kids, and in some cases the tired parents, had made their way back to the cars, your teacher would tell you, hey, that was great. That was a 3-mile hike or a 4-mile hike, or I remember one particular hike in the Tucson Mountains, a 5.5-mile hike with a group of first graders. I remember that one because that was hot. It was hot that day, and that really challenged some of you, and it challenged some of your parents even more. And I remember I had this backpack with Miguel at the time, who was a baby, and he is asleep on my back as I'm making this hike. And I remember looking back along this trail, and I see this long winding trail, like little ants of first graders on this path, interspersed with a couple of parents in the middle. And I was just incredibly proud of you for finishing. That was the first time I remember thinking you, as a group, even in first grade, could do whatever you put your minds to. It was up to us, as the adults, not to limit you with our own worries or expectations about what might be too difficult or too uncomfortable for you to manage. That can be a real challenge as a parent. And in that way, we were learning with you. The hikes would continue. You traveled to Mount Lemmon, Cochise Stronghold, Chiricahua National Monument. You went bouldering in Tanque Verde Falls. You hiked around the Desert Museum. My favorite part about going on the hikes was listening to each of you talk to each other. You guys talked non-stop throughout the hikes, and I was listening. At one point, Sebastian, I remember you telling me everything there was to know about Pokemon, which at that point I knew absolutely nothing about Pokemon, but you educated me. I got to listen to you guys talk to each other and imagine and pretend and say, hey, what if we're this? I'll be this, you be that. You were growing up with each other. You know each other. And you were forming memories and relationships that will last for years and years to come. The long car rides, especially to Kartchner Caverns, Cochise Stronghold, and Chiricahua National Monument, were another chance for me to listen to you all interact with each other. I remember you guys counting how many signs and billboards for The Thing you could count along the way. It seems like there were 1,000 of those things. You read whatever books Miguel or Mateo had left in the back of our van. There were always Curious George books back there, and I think that's what you guys were stuck with more often than not. And somehow we would manage to get there and back without anyone getting too seriously car sick. I can't speak for other cars, but I was very fortunate. We lucked out in that regard. You had class camping trips to Mount Lemmon. We went to Showers Point and Whitetail campgrounds many times. There were epic cornhole tournaments. The class dads may have been a little more enthusiastic about these than the kids. Larry, we may or may not still remain undefeated. Not that anyone was keeping score. Never. We're totally undefeated. The annual Harvest Festival started with the protected path for all of you. There were those mini story sessions where you walked from room to room and you got an acorn and or a feather or an orange from these characters, and the rooms were magically transformed using nothing more than bed sheets. As you got older, the protected path gave way to the quest path. I got a kick out of seeing you eventually gather together as a group to go through the quest path for the final time this last Harvest Festival. As you all got older, you branched out in your travels, going out to explore at the Canelo Project and Raven's Way. And we, your parents, had to learn how to take yet another step back and trust you to make the right choices when we were not around. Our education was continuing like yours was. You would go on to brave Pepper Sauce Cave, crawling and sliding your way through. I'll admit there were several spots in that rabbit hole where I thought you were going to have to leave me behind and get a rope and pull me out, but somehow we all made it through. As the years went by, you got a new teacher, Mr. Doyle, and new friends came to the class. Some old friends moved on to other places. Your lives were turned upside down by a pandemic that made us all rethink how school was going to work for a while. I know in our house we had 3 computers going simultaneously with 3 different lesson plans, and I had to somehow figure out how to tune a cello. And if there's one thing I learned from that period of time is that I should not be responsible for tuning a cello or any other stringed instrument if it's to sound anything like an instrument. During remote learning, the truly amazing Heidi Johnson, a self-proclaimed Luddite, adapted to teaching via Zoom, recording movement videos, and encouraging you all to stay active. The equally amazing Maestra Moreno, somewhere, there she is, helped keep your Spanish skills honed with games of Kahoot, which I had never heard of before, but apparently it was really fun. Fortunately, you came out of the other side of that time, I think, grateful and maybe more appreciative of each other's company. The pandemic fundamentally changed the pentathlon and medieval games experience for you, but you were flexible and you overcame obstacles you never thought you would face at the start of your journey. Through the years, your school plays became more and more elaborate, culminating in an incredible production of The Hobbit, led by Anne Johnson, and a hilarious production of A Servant of Two Masters. Watching you in all these plays, I could hardly believe these were some of the same little kids who were shivering near a creek at Madeira, building gnome houses. Many of you experienced Terror in the Corn recently this Halloween. Once again, you gathered together and you went through as a group. Now, I wasn't there, but my wife Maria was. And I know that some of you may have been a little nervous about going through the haunts, but you made it through together, and it is still up for debate as to who screamed louder, the kids or the parents, on that trip. I don't know which of the adults screamed loudest, but I suspect my wife may be in the running. And now here we are. This is the final school milestone of your pre-high school lives. You have looked out for each other, you have helped each other, and led each other. You have brought out the best in each other and comfort each other in times of sadness, struggle, and pain. You are at a crossroads now. You have choices to make. You're branching out, going to several different high schools. You're exploring different sports and hobbies, but you will always be able to count on each other and reach out for help as needed because of your shared experiences. You've grown up together. You know each other. You are family. So it's time for you to find your paths and to continue your journey. I am grateful to have watched you make it this far, and I look forward to seeing what you accomplish in the future. So going back to that class play, I think back to Gandalf addressing Bilbo and the dwarves outside Mirkwood Forest when he said, "Goodbye, be good, take care of yourselves, and don't leave the path." Congratulations, class.
I think all of the subject teachers love these kids. But there's a teacher who has seen them through from their early childhood and really helped them. They wanted to, I'd love to have Heidi Johnson come and give her reflections.
Greetings, everyone. I'm Heidi, otherwise known as Ms. Johnson, the movement education teacher here at Tucson Waldorf School. I've known the majority of this class since kindergarten, and I've personally watched them grow physically, mentally, and emotionally over the years. My movement education class serves to reinforce to the students their bodies are strong and healthy. I challenge them to find and develop their inner strength through a series of rigorous movement exercises, cooperative games, individual and team sports. In the lower 3 grades, we first learned to play games with one another before we learned to play against each other. I really appreciated seeing the tremendous growth individually and collectively as a class through the journey from first grade. This class gradually learned to work together and find a way into community. In my position as movement teacher, I found I had to find an internal fortification in order to meet this class and bring them into cooperative games in the lower grades. I joyfully witnessed the beginnings of their working together with Mr. Keeney during their daily morning boot camp style obstacle relays he created for them, in addition to the elaborate and impressive jump roping techniques they all continuously mastered with him as their coordination, timing, and rhythm grew, as they learned to read, feel, and sense the other's movements in order to get the timing right, moving in and out through the turning rope while learning math. This class started learning math through complex jump roping games with Mr. Keeney in first grade. I was amazed at how well, sorry, it's hard to see. Is there a light? Thank you. Thank you very much. I was amazed at how well they did at jump roping and math as these exercises became more complex. Through this activity, I saw the beginnings of a shift in the class dynamic. Skipping and jumping ahead, the class athletes progressed to pentathlon training in 5th grade, where they found beauty, grace, strength, and truth while learning the running long jump, Greco-Roman wrestling, discus release, javelin throw, and running events. From there, the young athletic squires worked towards the medieval games, which focused on trust, team building, and problem-solving challenges. Tucson Waldorf School's amazing team of parents, faculty, and administration successfully created a unique rite of passage experience in 6th grade, which combined elements of the plague-canceled pentathlon with medieval games, which was tricky to bring as we were challenged by physical distancing as well. At this medieval games held here on campus, we increased the level of complexity with the javelin's warrior throw, traditionally seen at the pentathlon, to include successfully throwing these spears through 12-foot high suspended hoops, demonstrating and testing accuracy and precision. Even navigating the challenges of working together during the chalice activity, I witnessed great perseverance and communication in a respectful way. In the 7th and 8th grade, the students were challenged to step outside their comfort zone and participated in the High Ropes Challenge courses. These events challenged the class greatly and once again reminded them to have trust in each other and faith in their bodies. In 7th grade, the class went to Pepper Sauce Cave, which was physically difficult at times, and brought out their cooperative abilities as they helped each other navigate a long, narrow, dark cave together. I also enjoyed our endurance building class runs off campus, where we visited with the horses and cows, as well as our annual fun Michaelmas field games, where the 8th grade students supported their 1st grade buddies. I'm proud to be a part of helping you grow with strong, helpful, compassionate young people. I've had the pleasure of working with mi compañera Gemma, otherwise known as Maestra Moreno, our beloved Spanish teacher, who also knows this class well and brings countless gifts to our school, including community building, and has incorporated movement into our curriculum by introducing folklorico, bachata, drumming, and song. Querida Gemma, what you've brought to these graduates moves me profoundly. Muchísimas gracias a Maestra Moreno. y felicidades en recibir tu knighthood. Más profunda gratitud y agradecimiento. What an immense pleasure it was on my birthday to be at the 7th and 8th grade drumming assembly that Maestra Moreno coordinated. You all noticed that space of being able to notice yourselves and your own rhythm, and yet be able to listen to each other and find a way to really blend into one beautiful rhythm together. If you can remember that in your future, whether in learning or chosen vocations, that will be invaluable to you in those endeavors. I see you. I see who you are. If you can hang on to that even in places when you are unsure of yourselves, remember those pictures of what you really are. They will carry you through over the most difficult times and will be an inspiration to lift your dreams into reality. I would like you to remember the proverb in traditional Chinese medicine that has been posted in my shed all these years. Worms will not eat living wood where the vital sap is flowing. Rust will not hinder the opening of the gate when the hinges are used each day. Movement gives health and life. Stagnation brings disease and death. I'd also like to share a quote by Jim Rohn. Take care of your body. It's the only house you have to live in. In closing, graduates, congratulations. I'm here for you. You know where to find me. And remember, I'm a Luddite. Smoke signals and carrier pigeons may get to me sooner, or come visit me in person. And today is Joaquin's birthday. And I'd like to wish him a very happy one. Should we sing? We wish you a happy birthday, a joyous and celebrated birthday to our dear Joaquin. We wish you a long, happy life. We wish you a long, happy life. Love you guys, and look forward to seeing you when our paths cross again, hopefully sooner than later.
Just check. I'm no fool. I got the students to help me to give brief descriptions of each other. And so they wrote and told me about what it is they value from their friends, because they really know each other so well. So in presenting these diplomas, first to Lucy Biederman, who is so strong. Her friends say she is very caring and loyal and one of the most supportive and kind friends. They love how positive and how freely she expresses her feelings, and you can always rely on her to be there for you. She stands up for herself and others, and she's never afraid to say what she means. You have poise in everything you do and are great at making cake. Well, these are out of order, so we'll just forget alphabetical order. The fates have decided. Genevieve Brooks. So intelligent and insightful. A loyal friend, her friends say, who speaks up and voices her opinions and is always fighting for what you think is right. She is compassionate and kind, supportive and comforting. She has a strong moral compass and can easily stick by your ideals. She is a good friend and an honest person.
black blob. Full of wonder and curiosity. His friends describe him, he is always himself and lets you be yourself too. Black is sweet, smart, and funny. He is a kind and loyal friend. You do the right thing, his friends say. You are a genuine, trustworthy friend. He's also really, really generous, and he gives his honest, genuine opinions. Joaquin Cheek. Joaquin was true, upright, true meaning like aligned, and his friends describe him as always inclusive. I love how he listens to you when you talk to him, and he is so considerate. He's quite the gentleman whenever someone needs help with anything. Joaquin is nice and a serious friend when it comes to sports. He can be relied on. Kind and caring, honest, always. He cares about the people around him. Sebastian Falcone, such a beautiful soul. His friends describe him as very understanding, very smart. He has a great sense of humor and has always been the wisest among the class. He is inclusive and open to talking to new people about new things. His friends say, I never feel judged around him. He is super kind and supportive. Sebastian is smart and genuine and a good friend and an honest person. Helen Johnson, I think of aplomb and brave. Her friends describe her as having an amazing sense of humor and a team player who will always have your back. She is always looking for ways to help others, always so understanding and positive. And she's one of the funniest people. Her friends say, I feel like I can totally be myself with her. She has always been there for everyone. She knows how to cheer you up and will always try. Helene Grzanowski. Amazingly intuitive. Her friends describe her as a truthful, loyal friend, so caring and sweet, and you can tell she will never hurt a living soul. She always makes sure you're okay, and she is trustworthy. Helene is hilarious. She is kind and funny, creative, always up for an adventure, and does not judge anyone. Her sensitivity makes her alert to others' emotions. Rosalie Ramos. Able at all she attempts, makes herself excellent. Her friends describe her as witty, and she has a great sense of humor. She is a great team member and will always advocate for you. She is smart and extremely funny. She is supportive, kind, and strong. She is driven, determined, and always makes me feel welcome. She will always help you. She is generous. Josie Riley. Josie is bright, funny, and insightful. Her friends describe her as authentic, funny, kind, incredibly loyal, and would never ever betray her friends, the most supportive person they've ever met. She is always there for her friends. Her life has so many amazing possibilities. She is a genuine and kind person, a wonderful friend. You will never feel out of place in her company. She will stop at nothing to tell you how amazing you are. Claudia Safir, sensitive, understands innately the connections between us and world events. Her friends describe her as very passionate about the things she loves and always makes everyone feel included. She's one of the sweetest person you will ever meet. She is always supportive, and you'll never hear her say a bad word about anyone who doesn't deserve it. She is funny. She can make a room brighter just by being in it. She is sweet, uplifting, and cares about her friends. She is kind and helpful. Aria Swanson. Strong and has so much love for others. Her friends describe her as trustworthy, friendly, loyal, caring, and kind. She keeps her promises, and she is sweet and funny, honest. A deep conversation with her, and you will never feel judged. She is such a kind and loving person, and has such a warm soul. Aria is helpful, funny, and loyal. She spells really well, too. Last but not least, the brilliant, neurons flashing Elijah Wiley. He's a kind person. His friends describe him as cares about everyone. He's very skilled at sports, and he's a very loyal friend who will always stand up for you. He's also quite the gentleman, and even when he's mad at you, he'll make sure to be polite. You have determination to do anything, you do the right thing, and you stand up for your friends, and he's considerate, and he is there when you need him. Let's hear some music.
Closest thing to Michelle Pfeiffer.